Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and the discussion around Toronto's so-called advantage after their victory at the Stage 2 Major this past weekend continued on the timeline last night. Crimsix has been relatively quiet on socials of late. He chimes in with great effect and earns his place back on a thumbnail. Intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Let's dive into things then. So of course last night we talked about the whole Parasite situation. Again, thought this was a crazy stat that comes out from Code Gamepedia. He has the most recorded roster moves of any player in Call of Duty history. 114 recorded joins and leaves for him throughout his career. He goes on to say, look, been one of the top performers in every last iteration of my teams, while leading and practically helping coach every roster, playing from the West Coast online, etc. Absolute amateurs keep dropping this guy. And as Wester then say, they actually won't be representing the new team of Fire, Gintroid, Mac and Sib, competing in the Elite 3 qualifiers. I believe like Zaptius has really been the big name behind this Wester brand. It's not like an organisation, it's basically just a brand that's kind of represented the teams that he's been playing for. So, well who knows when Zaptius will be back, and when he is, then I imagine the Wester brand will end up following him. But, well, this team is a pretty interesting one. There was only some drama on the timeline last night, and we'll talk about Sib here in just a second, because as Yi says, scrims against Mock's team and the New York Subliners Pro team with UT Crew versus New York, you say, says Crone, exactly what is going on here. And then as Crone comes out and says, just a couple of days ago, we talked about the whole idea that, okay, it looks like Subliners are trying to acquire Sib from Atlanta FaZe, but as Crone now comes out and says it looks like this deal, Sib to Subliners, did not go through. Sib will be teaming with Fire, Gintroid and Mac in the Challenger side. That is, well, very interesting. And, well, as Crone then tweets out as well, Subliners scrims with Hydra, Clayster, DiamondCon and Asim. So, strange in a way. I thought this was going to be a two-person change. It is now just a one-man change. And also you can say, okay, well, is necessarily this, well, Hydra for Mac move necessarily the right one? Is, well, DiamondCon, should he have stayed in the team? Should have Mac stayed in the team instead? Because Hydra, it seems like, can pretty much run every role. But I think Hydra is more comfortable on the main SMG. He's kind of been using whatever for in the Challengers region in the North American side since he got over there. Clay, of course, is the main AR, DiamondCon is the second AR, then Asim and Hydra as your SMGs. That is pretty damn scary. But at the same time, if you were going to have Sib in this team as well in terms of raw talent, that might have taken this team up to an even another level. But I can understand maybe why they didn't necessarily want to go down that route. And, well, maybe some contract stuff happened behind the scenes that we're not really sure of. So they were scrimming up against, well, this team last night, of course, that being MajorManiak's team, handling some pretty decent success to my understanding. And, well, that looks like the Subliners team we are going to be getting for Stage 3. No confirmation, at least as of recording this video yet, though, from the New York Subliners side. We'll have to see what their group turns out to be. I think it's going to be later today, actually, the groups get announced. We'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Mutineers then tweet this out, so the eyes emoji comes out in full force. That means an announcement is brewing just around the corner. And then they confirm this greasy gang, Havok, is back in the building. So he is going to be joining the lineup in place of Slacked, of course. So Awakening, Skies, Neptune and Havok is now the team. This is a squad that I honestly kind of thought this might be the team at the start of the season. But of course, I mean, they brought Slacked in, and Neptune, well, he came in for Havok before the season even began. And Havok seemed to me to be such a crucial piece of their success last season as this kind of like entry man, the type of selfless, aggressive SMG player that you don't really have too many of in the league. And I was somewhat surprised they didn't get a shot again at the start of the season. But, well, they put him in now. Will it massively improve the team? I'm not necessarily sure. I think you are going to have bigger numbers out of Neptune to make this work, because I'm not expecting Havok to put up absolutely insane numbers on the map, but maybe he does. And if Neptune can also improve in terms of his hardpoint KD, we'll look at some Lion Man cards later today, then yeah, maybe this team actually can be a contender like we expected them to be, because Awakening is disgusting. Skies is a great main assault rifle. If they can piece the rest of the team together properly, we could have another contender on our hands. That's a scary thing when you look at the league as it stands right now and the competitiveness. This I thought the Crow pointed out a few days ago was pretty funny. Put me in, coach, says Cold Havok back on the 2nd of April, effectively, ratioing the hell out of the Mutineers team, and that proved enough to get him put into the starting lineup. I know I have a lot to prove. Thank you to my team and organisation for giving me a trial to earn this spot. Time to work. So, let's move on to this stuff. We talked yesterday about, well, Karma initially said this a few days ago, Ultra the Texas Killers. They make that incredible losers bracket run. They beat OpTic in the winners bracket. They go down to losers after losing to Atlanta FaZe. Then they get through Los Angeles Thieves initially, based in Texas, Minnesota Rokkr in Texas, and then the Dallas Empire before beating FaZe in the grand finals. And there were some questions. Okay, like, is Toronto benefiting from some sort of internet advantage here? And that's kind of what some of the OpTic guys were implying yesterday. The fact that, okay, they should be forced to move to the States, or, they shouldn't be allowed to play from a different country because it makes the internet situation a little bit questionable. And, well, obviously there was some discussion back and forth on whether that was a fair point or not. Marky B says the following yesterday: another agenda forming on the internet. We ping worse than Texas teams to the server we play on matches. Pure for gays. Enjoy your Thursday. So Marky B, the coach of the Toronto Ultra, of course, well, tried his best to celebrate this victory, and well, then there's teams kind of implying maybe that his team has well had a beneficial internet advantage, and that's the reason why they won at the end of the day. Obviously, they played great cards. I think there's well no getting away from that. But as he says, the servers that they play on versus the Texas teams, we actually have worse ping on compared to well those Texas teams on that server that they play them on. So okay, well let's see if some other people back him up in the replies right here. And as he replies, okay, we play on the Atlanta server versus Texas teams. So here we are back again on the Google Maps, and as you can see, so this is Dallas right here, where pretty much most of the teams are based. I think OpTic is just north of Dallas, and okay, so this is the distance at least geographically, and I think it's pretty a similar distance. You can tell sometimes on the map it distorts things somewhat, but supposedly Toronto's a little bit further away from Atlanta than Dallas is, or at least who knows exactly where the server is. But effectively, the CDL decides, as we looked at yesterday, the spinner Spence says it's not some sort of server veto situation, which I believe we had last year. The CDL just says, okay, based on the pings to certain servers of the players, we're just going to select the Atlanta server to be the one that the Dallas and Toronto teams play on when they are having to play a match. So this is pretty much the server that the Toronto guys play on when they are playing a Texas team, and that certainly makes a fair degree of sense. Now, what is the ping difference for both of these teams onto this server? That is then when Crimsix comes into the discussion, and as Mark says, I thought it was pretty funny. We actually used to have a better ping earlier in the season when we were getting smoked by the Texas teams. Guess we just got straight up lucky this time. So this is what Crimsix has to say. Can confirm that Marky is telling the truth on this one. Believe every Dallas located player has a 3 to 5 ping advantage individually, 12 to 20 overall ping advantage versus your team by 4 players timesing the 3 to 5, all that good stuff. You worked very hard and played well, no BS. Everyone saying that publicly is speaking out of their ass to justify their delusion, says Crimsix, potentially calling out what Formula had to say on the podcast yesterday, the idea that okay, that they maybe benefited from this situation. And Marky B comes back and says, look, don't get me wrong, our internet is straight up naughty, and as Crim says, look, okay, the Bell fiber that you guys have up in Toronto is better than the Dallas fiber, but in our matches we actually are getting still lower pings by something like 3 to 5. So it seems like if you look at this from this map perspective, that Toronto ping about 3 to 5 ping more to these Atlanta servers than the Texas teams do. So if anything, Toronto is still at a slight disadvantage versus the Texas teams that they were beating this past weekend, kind of disproving the idea maybe that they are the Texas killers in that sense and actually just played great Call of Duty, despite the internet situation once again being brought up as a discussion point. And honestly, I can't wait for LAN at some point at least, so we'll get rid of all these discussions really about the internet stuff, because it's kind of frustrating to see on a pretty regular basis. Also, we talked about Florida Mutineers yesterday, right? The idea that okay, they're this Bermuda Triangle stuff that they had last season. But as Tom Ryanoga 2 says, I'll take this moment to speak on behalf of the Bermuda Triangle. We've had team ping disadvantage every series this year. Excited for LAN to return. So with these servers as they are right now, with the servers that have been decided by the CDL and not done by a veto situation, we may actually find that Florida Mutineers are in, not the idealist of spots as maybe they had last season that some people would suggest. So interesting stuff. I'm sure we'll have to see how this develops going forwards. Can Toronto maintain their incredible performance level they had in Stage 2? Stage 3 is just around the corner. Thought I'd mention this as well from the Toronto Ultra guys, because they come up with, I believe this is, Chapter 4, you can see it, of the blueprint. This is kind of, the documentary series they do behind the scenes. I think this was just when Inside to join the team, so they've edited this together for now, and then Chapter 5 is probably going to be on their victory at the majors. I thought I'd mention it because it's great content, sitting down with the players, talking about them behind the scenes. This is the type of stuff you love to see from teams, but probably doesn't get enough love from most of the organizations that are doing their best to build their brand on the social media presence, all that good stuff. Let's talk briefly about the group selection show. So, the future of CDL 2021, as Call of Duty League say, gets determined tomorrow, that being today, in the Stage 3 group selection show. So, later today, it's going to be happening. We're going to know what the groups are. I believe it's probably already happened, and then they just edit down the video and make it happen. It's 4 minutes or something they do, and they reveal it. I'm pretty sure it's 1 p.m. Eastern on the Friday, so a few hours from when this video goes live. So all the teams will be determined. We've got Toronto in Group A, we've got FaZe in Group B, and then it will go through, so probably Dallas will find their way into Group B, then OpTic will find their way into Group A, and then it might be Rokkr in Group B, and then it goes back and forth, so we find some absolutely stacked groups. And this is what we're saying, right? We talked about earlier in this video, Subliners making a change, maybe Hydra's going to improve their squad, Mutineers making a change, maybe Havok's going to improve their squad, you've got these honeymoon periods to talk about as well, you've got Thieves looking better, you've got Surge on the up, and then of course you've got all the top dogs, plus Toronto up there as well now, that are all looking very scary indeed. So this Stage 3 major is going to be absolutely incredible, well, Stage 3 in general, and then I'm sure the major in addition to that, and also, well, with any luck, we're going to be getting back to LAN at some point, and that's going to, well, upgrade the performance levels of the Call of Duty League 2021 even more. And I think there's been a lot of people maybe that have, well, not exactly taken a back burner, but have kind of got into Call of Duty as of late, that maybe haven't followed it as much as they did in previous seasons, you could argue, because this online stuff has happened, especially people who maybe used to watch the scene a few years ago when it was solely on LAN, and now, okay, this online stuff maybe isn't quite as appealing. When we go back, I think that could be great for viewership, not just in person, of course, if spectators can come back, but also from an online perspective, because I think watching the events when there's the players on stage and they're getting brought out and, you know, they're kind of talking trash across the stage is, well, even more an entertaining viewing experience than we have had so far this season playing from home. And just thought I'd finish off with this from the Minnesota Rokkr, the sight and sounds of an unlikely W in joy. Well, enjoy if you're a Minnesota Rokkr fan, of course. This is the very final round, the absolute insanity. I'm sure this would have been, well, unbelievable on LAN, and this is the Minnesota Rokkr's perspective of this whole stuff. We looked at OpTic's perspective of this heartbreaking defeat just a few days ago. But enjoy to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
He's close corner on bomb, close left. One guy's
Nice,
close corner on bomb.
Stay alive, stay alive, Lamar.
If you push up, he's in the close right deep
There's
corner.
two on bomb, Dale. Two on bomb. Dale's behind him.
I hit him with the nade.
Close right deep corner.
Just holding. Scump is just holding.
Two there in the corner. Two there in the corner.
Last two in the corner.
Let's go!
Oh my god, bro! What the